This was the movie that changed everything when it comes to driving on the highway. You will never look at any type of semi-truck carrying anything the same way again. If I see a truck carrying logs, giant pipes, whatever the case may be, and they're chained up or held up, nope. It's a big note for me, big dog. What's up, guys? This is Courtney, one half of the Brothers Deconstruction here, and I'm bringing you my super late review for Final Destination 2. Final Destination 2 is the sequel to the first Final Destination. It came out in 2003. Now, one of the funny things, really quickly, about this is that there are two movie posters for this film, and I've only ever seen this one. So when I looked up movie posters to use for the video and I came across this one, I was actually kind of surprised. Similar to the first Final Destination as well, where the normal movie poster is the one with the skulls partially covering everyone's faces, but then when I looked up the movie poster, I found the regular one. So yeah, that's really interesting. This movie stars a handful of pretty well-known actors, I would say. It stars AJ Cook, who some of you might know from Criminal Minds. It stars Ali Larter again. It has T.C. Carson in it, who I originally know from Living Single, but all of you guys may know as Kratos from the God of War series. Yeah, that's him. This is actually also the first film where I saw Justina Machado in it. I know she's now a very well-known TV actress, but I originally remember seeing her in this film. And so when I saw that she's a big-name TV actress now, I say, hey, that's that pregnant woman from Final Destination 2. So I'm like that with certain actors. The story in this movie is similar to the story in the first one. We have AJ Cook, who's playing Kimberly. She's going on a road trip with her friends. She has a premonition that there's going to be a giant car accident, which ends up happening. She blocks the road and saves a handful of people from actually getting on the highway and being involved in the accident. Now, one of the weird things that I've noticed in the beginning of the film, and I know that I point out a lot of weird shit that I see in the movies or in movies in general, but it's just some continuity stuff. When she blocks the road, she blocks the entrance ramp to the highway, but her friends die when a car comes by and hits the truck. But it's weird because when she parks her SUV, they're not in the way of the highway. They're on the entrance ramp. So where did that car come from that hit her car with her friends in it? I don't know where it came from. It just came out of thin air. But people start going on to die, just like in the original film as well. Now, this film, when it came out, got mixed reviews as well. And I think the Rotten Tomatoes critic score is higher than the first one. I think it's about 48 or 49%. But the audience score is lower than the audience score for the first one. The first one was at, I think, 65%. This one is at about 58%. And again, those mixed reviews, some people, praise the suspense and the thriller aspect of the film, and some people kind of bash the acting and the plot and everything like that. I think both are valid. The acting is not great in this film, and there are a lot of times where it's super inconsistent. Something will happen to Kimberly, and Cook's reaction or emotion that she displays doesn't really seem appropriate for what just happened. Like, her friends will die, but she seems to get over it fairly quickly. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Courtney from the editing room. I also wanted to give Ali Larter some props too. She's really solid in this film. In my original cut of the review, I mentioned that she has some very inconsistent acting, but then I realized I was thinking back to her role in the first Final Destination movie when she was playing a much more reserved and held back character. So yeah, that's my bad. I do think Jonathan Cherry as Rory, he provided some nice comedic relief. as well as Keegan Connor Tracy as Kat. I think she had a couple of funny moments in the movie as well. But other than that, nobody really stands out in the acting department. And I think overall, the acting could have been better. Now, when it comes to the story, I mean, the most important thing that people are going to be coming to this franchise for is the deaths and the kills. Like I said in the intro, this changed the way that you approach driving on the highway or just driving in general. I know I've seen people say it on social media. I've said it myself. Even when watching this when I was younger, when I finally started driving, I avoided any type of truck that was carrying anything. I don't care what it was. I was not driving behind that truck. And if I had the opportunity to go around it, I took it. Because no, I'm not taking that chance. This movie changed the way that you approach driving behind other vehicles. And I think that's really, I think that really cements it in pop culture, because most people who remember Final Destination 2 or the Final Destination series in general, they're going to remember this car crash scene from this film. And I think it's even on, I read somewhere that was on somebody's list at #1, I believe, of best car crash scenes in film history. And it is, because it doesn't hold anything back. And it's visceral, and it's really, really over the top as hell. It's like a Michael Bay movie. It's like Michael Bay made this movie, because on impact, cars are just exploding left and right, and there's a bunch of fireballs and all this wild shit. But it just adds to the sequence. If you're gonna have a car accident and a giant pile up, don't do it in a tame way. Although more realistically, there probably isn't going to be a whole lot of explosions, right? No, this is a movie. Let's just add fireballs everywhere. And there were a lot of fireballs and a lot of explosions during this car crash. So I've already talked about the acting aspect of the film, how it's not really that great. Some people stand out just a little bit more than others, but overall, we're here for the deaths and how they come about. And this movie this is why this is my favorite movie, because of the way that they kill the characters. And there's a little bit of story to it as well, because there's one moment where all of the survivors, all of the remaining survivors, I should say, are in a car driving, I forget where. They're driving to go find Justina Machado's woman. I'm forgetting the character's name. But they're going to find her because they think that her giving birth to the baby is going to reset Death's plan. They're all in the car sharing their stories about how this isn't the first time that they cheated Death. And it ties it into the first movie, because everybody, they avoided being killed because of the death of one of the survivors of Flight 180 from the first film. So T.C. Carson is a teacher, and he said that at his school, a kid brought a knife and killed the teacher. It would have been him, except he got transferred to another school. The school that he got transferred to was Mount Abraham from the first movie, because he was replacing Mrs. Luton, who got killed in that explosion. That would have been him. And then Rory says that he was out in France, and he was supposed to go to a theater that collapsed. But what happened was that at the end of the first Final Destination, when Carter gets killed by the sign, that stopped Rory from going to the theater and winding up in that theater collapse. So I like how it kind of brought everything in from the first movie and kind of tied it together. Now, do I think it was the most cleanest way? No, not really, but if they wanted to do that, I think that was probably one of the best ways that they could have done it. Have everybody already, cheat Death before, and then it's coming back around to get them. Now, one of the things that I mentioned in my Super Late review for Final Destination was that if it's not your time, you can't really change that. The reason why I said I'll come back to that in another video is because Officer Burke They all meet up at his apartment after Nora dies in the elevator, which also will probably make you paranoid of elevators and shit, but we know that there are a bunch of safety measures involved where your head isn't going to get stuck in the doors, hopefully. He goes back to the apartment and he's flipping the fuck out because Eugene is just like Carter. Eugene is that character where I control my life.
Call it what you want. It'll keep your ass alive.
Darling, my ass is alive, huh? Has been all day.
So he comes back just flipping the fuck out, yelling at nothing in the room, and he grabs Officer Burke's revolver and he points it at everybody and then he puts it to his head, just starts going off on the trigger. Pulls the trigger 6 times, right? Nothing happens. Now everybody is looking at at Officer Burke saying, you don't keep your gun loaded. And he shows it that it's a fully loaded revolver. 6 bullets in the chamber. And then they say, well, maybe, and then Rory says, maybe they're all duds. And he says, 6 duds? That's impossible. That's not likely. Clear says it wasn't your... Now, this is one of Kat's funny moments. And this is another weird continuity thing. This is one of those typical, a person that was walking into a room that probably couldn't have heard this conversation go on responds to it, but we know that they do that for the dramatic stuff. But when he says that, Clear walks into the frame and says it wasn't his time to go. And then we get this gem of a line from Kat.
Can we find the pregnant woman now, please?
But yeah, if it's not your time, you can't just willingly take your life. Now, I don't know how that factors into the end of the film when they realize, Kimberly Wood realizes that she has to die in order for the list to start over. But I think it was her time, and so she drives an ambulance into the lake, drowns, but then gets brought back. I don't know exactly how that works as far as rules within the movie. I don't know. That'll have to be a little... That's why I said that's why I understand why people kind of bash the plot and everything in the film, because there is a handful of stuff that's nonsensical, that's bigger than my little nitpicks. The suspenseful stuff in this film, again, is one of the highlights. I've already talked about the acting and all that other stuff, but again, I agree with the critics that praise the suspense and the thriller aspects, because based around a lot of the deaths, it's interesting to see how and what is going to set them off. David Piekow, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I know him from Flashpoint now, but when I first started watching Flashpoint, I knew him from Final Destination 2. But his character Evan dies early on in the film, but the suspense they build up before his death is insane. He just won the lottery. He gets stopped from being involved in this terrible car crash. He's buying jewelry, all this fancy shit. He's getting these phone calls from these girls that are calling back trying to meet up with him again, shit like that. His dumb ass makes, I believe, mozzarella sticks, and he ends up like setting his apartment on fire. But just the sequence of events is fucking nerve-wracking as hell, because he's checking out his ring, he drops it down the sink into the part of the sink where the garbage disposal is. Now that's gonna freak anybody out. When I drop shit down my garbage disposal that I can't just turn on and have it obliterate, I'm freaking the fuck out when I realize I have to reach in there to grab the fork that fell in there, or something else. So I'm freaking the fuck out then. But this guy reaches down in there with the hand that he just put this brand new watch on. It gets stuck. He accidentally, when he dropped the ring into the sink, he was heating up old Chinese food that a magnet had dropped into. And it basically fucks up the microwave, which makes him knock the ring into the sink. But the mozzarella sticks catch on fire. They could have been fish sticks. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see the box. But they catch on fire. He's trying to knock it off with this long-ass towel. Ends up knocking it on the floor. Shit starts catching on fire. and then he dies because the fire escape ladder impales him through the fucking face. That wasn't the way that we thought that he was going to die, especially after he gets out of the apartment. It basically blows up. Just that scene alone, and just the build up to what eventually was, oh shit, he's safe. Smack. I don't know, it's quite impressive. I can really talk about this movie, just random shit in this movie all day, but I'm not going to. Again, similar to the first film though, just thinking about what that person has to live with when they have this premonition. Now, people aren't giving her dirty looks or anything like that. They're actually quite skeptical when Kim says, oh, I had a premonition. Everybody knows about Flight 180. This is still set in New York. I don't know if Mount Abraham is a real place in New York or not. 3 years after the first movie came out, but chronologically it's set a year after the first movie. There's no dirty looks being given. They're really more skeptical more than anything else. And she just has to deal with, just living with that just has to be insane. Watching these films will have you so paranoid of fucking everything. I'm not on self-quarantine because I still have to go to work and stuff. If I could self-quarantine, I probably would, man. Because just watching these films just makes you scared of everything. And it's actually not really all that fun. It's an entertaining film though. I suggest you guys check it out. Like I said in the first review, the first 4 are on Netflix. Go check them out. So as always, guys, I appreciate the support, whether it's 1, 5, 10, or 100 views. Check out all of the other videos. Check out my super late review on the first Final Destination film, and be on the lookout for everything else. I'll catch up with you guys later.